everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a Dollar Tree DIY coffee bar signs. We're going to do two little signs and then like a little bonus project. We're going to use these two summer signs. One is like the little watermelon and the other one is the little mason jar. And we're going to use cashew as well as white Waverly chalk paint and a black Sharpie and then a tiny bit of truffle as an option for shading, and we'll go over that as well. The first thing you're going to do is take your strings off and your stickers off. Now, I decided not to hang these with the strings, so I'm just going to save them for another sign. You can always just drill two tiny little holes and use those strings for another sign another day. Getting the sticker off. This mason jar sign is available this year, but this one is from last year because I'm not going out and shopping anymore. No, I'm just kidding. I went out. But the longer the sticker stays on, I feel like the stickers come off easier now. Is anybody else finding that? And in fact, the watermelon sign didn't have a sticker on it at all because it had a tag. So maybe Dollar Tree's starting to catch on and pay a little attention. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking a scrap piece of paper and I'm kind of tracing the bottom curve of this mason jar cup because we're going to turn it into a coffee mug. And I wanted to just emulate that same shape and size so that it would look even at the top and the bottom. That same curve at the top and the bottom. So this way it looks like you're looking directly at the middle of the mug. So all I did was I took it, cut it out, turned it upside down at the top, and then I traced it. And then I realized I traced it not right. So I moved it up a little bit and I traced it evenly. Then I'm just going to take my regular old favorite utility knife from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut on that line several times. The first time I do add the most pressure, but not even a ton. What I wanted to add a little pressure in the beginning is because you want to be able to create a groove that you could stick your knife back in and basically score it a few times. When you do score it, you'll be able to snap it off or bend it backwards a little bit. That is if you remember to take the fruit off the other side. So take the fruit off the other side. Now, I saw this saying on a regular canvas sign on Pinterest, so I cannot take credit for the cute little saying that says the coffee is done. But if you're new to my channel, hi, I'm do all these things, but I'm redoing my coffee bar, actually creating a coffee bar. And I'm going to create a display for my Dunn mugs. So I wanted to put this really cute little sign and make it in the, I don't know, Dunn look. So as you see, once we cut that top down, I scored it a few times, snapped it back, turned it over, scored it a little bit through the paper on the other side. I didn't even get it right on, which is fine. And then I just went back in on the good side, and I kept scoring it until it cut off. Just trim off whatever extra, and then I took sandpaper. The back of this sign from last year was kind of like rough, like all the edges were kind of sticking up in the back. So all I did was knock them down with a little piece of sandpaper. And now I'm mixing the paint. I've always taught you guys to actually add your darkness to your light. But what I did was I just wanted to lighten up the cashew a tiny bit. So I put down a bunch of cashew and I added a big dollop of white just to lighten it up. And I actually left some areas that were solid cashew because we're going to shade on our second coat. Okay. And I just wanted to shade. I know I could like to teach you guys little tips and tricks and stuff each time we do a DIY. So this one is going to touch on the shading a little bit. What I did was my first coat, I just laid it down with a sponge brush. The second coat, I'm taking a sort of a very loose bristle brush, and I'm just hashtagging. Hashtag not sponsored. No, I'm doing hash marks back and forth. I'm just turning my wrist each time I do a stroke, and I'm just creating a little texture in that chalk paint. Okay. Now, while it's still wet, I will tell you, even while it's wet, chalk paint does dry so fast that it's really difficult to shade unless you add a little water. Okay. So what I'm going to do is take a tiny bit of truffle, and it's a tiny bit, but a really big dollop came out. But I'm really just going to take a tiny bit on my brush, and I'm going to create sort of a cashew truffle sort of combination. Boy, doesn't that sound delicious? Cashew truffles. And I'm just going to start right on the handle at the edge of the cup where it's starting to round up. And I'm going to create arches that match the top an arch that match the bottom at the top and the bottom. And I'm going to work my way into straightness when I get towards the middle. So basically I'm going to arch up, 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 kind of go straight, 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 and then arch down, down, down. And we're doing this because the illusion that we're creating, that we're looking directly at the center of this cup. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And now you're just going to do different layers. I like to layer some dark, and then I like to go back over it with the light and then create sort of a medium tone. I did add water to it because it would help it blend much better. And use your finger whenever you think the paintbrush might be leaving too much texture. You can always blend it with your finger. It's waterproof. You could just wash it later. Okay? Not waterproof. It's water soluble. Sorry. And now I'm using that flat edge of that paintbrush to create that sort of clean line at the handle. I created a little bit of a darker shade because you imagine that the handle is set back. And you're going to cast a tiny bit of the shadow on the cup on the handle. And that's just how that works. If it would help you to actually put a cup in front of you and just take a look or take a photograph of it, you can refer back to it. I mean, that's how I learned. That and the teacher and the upside down thing. I think I mentioned that in the past. Basically, if you work on a project upside down, sometimes you work just on its lines and not what you think it is. That's what I'm talking about. But anyway, so you're just going to continue to add shading. I did underneath the top of the handle as well as underneath the bottom of the handle. So not just on the inside of the handle, because you can imagine that the light is casting down on the top. At the very, very bottom of the mug, I also added a pretty dark line because the Dunn mug kind of tucks in at the bottom there. If I was thinking about doing the back she's got like, it's almost like clay is folded. So you could see like the seam of where the clay overlaps. But I was like, no, I'm just going to do the front. Now I'm creating this saying, I'm writing this saying that says, the coffee is done. Okay. But you can do whatever you want on this. I was actually originally considering making this cup not in the Dunn fashion, but just making a cup sign that says, all I need is a little bit of coffee and a whole lot of Jesus, and along those lines of that sign. But when I saw this saying, when I was going through my inspiration boards today, I actually saved it like a bunch of coffee bar signs, and I didn't coffee bar displays, and I actually didn't notice this sign until today. So I thought that was pretty neat. So if you're out there and you created this original sign, thank you. But I just thought it was so special. So now I'm just going back with more layers just to create more of that hand. If you've ever seen a Dunn cup in person, it's sort of modeled. It has sort of like an indent. If you look down from the top, let's put it this way. If you look down from the top, it's not a perfect circle. It kind of goes in and out, and like almost like somebody hand sculpted the mug. So I just tried to create some texture. Now I set it off to dry completely, even though it looked like it was dried completely and I had a little bit of difficulty at the top. But what had happened was, while I set it off to dry somewhere, I must have dropped some of the glitter when I cleaned the table off. Or actually, I think what happened was it was on my nightgown, and when I got up, it fell onto the thing, and I didn't notice it till I came back. So some glitter dried on that sign, but you guys can't really see it. Trust me, I could barely see it. So I just tried to take a wipe to see if I could get off any of the loose stuff, or maybe even loosen up a little bit of the paint that was kind of stuck in. So it still needs to dry a little bit, but I just used the front of the cup to make sort of a piece of paper that would fit across it. Now you didn't see me copy this off of the phone, but all I did was I went on to Google search images and I looked for some Dunn fonts, and I just copied the letters the best that I could. Kind of a lot of it's straight lines. I always made the skinny O, which I didn't realize she makes a really fat O. And I always made like a connected C, like a normal C, and then she makes a really wide open C. The lines at the top of the E and the F, like I just went for those kinds of measurements. The website that I found had the word "the" in it, so that was easy. And then it had the D's and the U's and the N's that I just copied. Okay. The S was also something that I didn't realize. It's not like a full real S. It's almost like a curve. It almost looks like a music note or something. So what I did was I just used the pencil transfer method. I did put some graphite pencil lead or graphite on the back of the piece of paper where I drew it, and then I just transferred it that way. And then I went over it and then I realized it was a little thin for the size of the coffee mug. I also made them a little too close together, which I should have spread them out just a tiny bit to make it a little bit more like her font graphic. But, I guess I won't get copyright infringement if I make it 25% different anyway. So now I'm doing the same for the name Dunn, but I did decide to move the and is centered on the cup, mostly because that's how she usually lines stuff up centered. She doesn't really do things off to the side like that. So I started to write the word the up there, and that's when I realized that paint looked dry, felt dry, but once that I started to write on it, it wasn't quite cured. So I just stopped. I left it alone. I figured I'll finish the rest, and then I can go back and touch it up later. All right? Yeah, you see that S was just sort of like a cool curve. Now, I put the graphite pencil lead down, and then I kind of didn't follow it necessarily the whole way. I wanted the lines to be straighter. So wherever I just took the wet wipe and I just washed the graphite away. You could use the erasers method. We've done that lots before. I just wanted to show you lots of times the graphite comes away with just a wipe as well. All right, and then I went back to just thicken up all of the letters so they would basically have the same thickness as well. Now, if you feel like you need more shading or less shading, obviously. Now I'm just going to show you like a bonus craft, but it's not really. I'm taking a Dollar Tree chalkboard tag in the tea bag shape. And that's really what it reminds me of. So I thought that if I wrote tea on here with the white, this is the white brush marker from Dollar Tree, and I just found the Dunn font for tea. Like I have those tea and coffee mugs. I thought how cute it would look if it was just, if you didn't want it to say coffee, if you just picked tea, or if you made it blank, or if you say anything about Jesus, and then the original lemon slice that came from the board. If you like lemon in your tea, like seriously, varieties really can be endless. And here's how they look together. I think they're super cute. And now we're going to work on the other side. In full disclosure, I was doing the painting in tandem, so that's why you see the other sign there. Hopefully you guys craft in tandem. I just show them to you like this in case you only want to do one of the projects. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have to fill those holes. Now there's plenty of ways. There's wood filler, there's spackling, whatever you have to work. But I'm just going to show you a really quick couple of methods. I wanted to show you that originally I was just like, oh, if you put glue back here behind the thing and that'll be great. But I'm like, Jerry, why are you being a dope? All you need to do is to glue a piece of poster board or cardstock or something to the other side and then just fill it in. Like, what am I doing? I'm just like playing around. So that's what I ended up doing. I took the wrong side and I just glued some cardstock down to it, and then I turned it over, and now I can fill the hole without worrying about it falling through. That didn't cost me anything. Once it's glued, you want to let the glue set up. Then you can go ahead, and I took my utility knife and I just made it level flat and cut off the little knob or the nubbin. And then I went ahead and I just sanded it flat. And you'll see once I add the first coat of paint, then I'm going to sand it once that first coat of paint is just about dry as well, because that will also just really make it very, very smooth. Now this new chipboard sign watermelon thing actually has it's cardboard or chipboard that's white, or it's got cardboard on the back. I'm not 100% sure, but it looks like it's just dying to be a sign. So we're going to paint it with Waverly's chalk paint in white. We're going to also do the edges. In the first coat, we just want to make a nice, smooth, even coat. Fill in those holes. And then when we go back with our second coat, that's when we're going to go ahead and we're going to create all of those hash marks as we did before when we were painting the Dunn mug. Your second coat, you just really want it to create some texture, which is just going to enhance the chalk look. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is, like I said, just brush on that second coat, go over wherever we sanded, just to basically establish a nice second coat that's going to, look chalky. All right, now you don't have to do this sign the way that I'm doing the sign. You can do this sign. The inspiration is the shape of the sign necessarily, because I actually have a sign like this over like my doorway that says, bless all who welcome. I think it would make a really cute over the door arch sign. Okay. So now once it's dry, I'm just going to put on that black edge. I was having a little bit of a difficulty with my hands tonight, so I apologize, and I didn't make my line even, but then I just went back over it. Had to move my marker in a little bit. This is the giant fake Sharpie from the Dollar Tree, as how I refer to it. It makes a nice, really thick line, and it's permanent, which I like. I just did the same outline all the way around, and then you could outline it with the marker like I showed you there, but it is so much easier to just take a sponge brush and some black ink from Waverly as well, that you could just go ahead and touch up the edges. Okay, I did have a little mistake there with the marker, and I just touched it up with a little white paint from Waverly. Now I know that I think Bargain Bethany, she basically used makeup sponges. She finds it very easy to do edges. If you don't have a foam brush, but you have makeup sponges, you can go ahead and try those. I hear they work really well, but I just have these and don't have to buy any more stuff. So I like to just run it across on the edge. All right. And now, even while that's still wet, because it's going to dry super fast, I'm going to go ahead and start freehanding. In full disclosure, I was feeling a little less than confident tonight, and I just wanted to prove it to myself that I could do it. I know that sounds silly, but I just did it from my brain. I did it from my memory, and my memory and brain aren't really working together today. It was okay. It came out all right. All things considered, it came out okay. Let's put it that way. But I just basically did, some sort of faux calligraphy farmhouse font. Now, I think I'm going to change the sign, and here's why. I did intend it for it to be sitting above the French coffee sign that I made, but like a dopus, I forgot that the other sign says cafe on it already. So I'm probably going to change this. I did like bakery. A lot of stuff that I saw basically said, French bakery. So I was thinking about the Henson Bakery, and then we can just leave established in 2000. That's when Jim and I got married. So I think I might change the word cafe to bakery just by adding a coat of paint over it and going back over and just picking a different word just to have something different. But you'll see when I show you the sample how they don't really match well together because I picked different fonts and they both say the same word. And I don't know, it looks weird. But you guys let me know what you think, all right? And that's it. That's all of these projects. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed this tutorial or these tutorials. If you do, give this video a thumbs up. Cannot wait to finish this coffee bar and share it all with you. It's coming out so much better than I imagined, which yay. And if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Don't forget to share with friends and family, anybody who might be interested in making either one of these projects. And if you haven't yet, click subscribe. When you do, a little bell will pop up. When you ring that bell, YouTube will let you know whenever I upload a new video. And as always, you guys take care, God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Au revoir.